The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, horror fans, and welcome to episode 301 of Frightmares. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for 1982's Poltergeist is John Vogt.
Hello, hello.
Sup, dude? It's been a minute.
What's up, man? I know. Yeah, we've been trying to figure out how to be parents of two under two, and dude, that ain't for the weak. That is not for the fucking weak, man. It's so hard.
I was just about to ask how that is going, so.
Yeah, it's brutal, dude. You like, sleep's gone. Like, totally gone. You just, like, I don't even know, man. Like, my brain, like, works half the time, I think.
See, and mine already works half the time now, so if I had two kids, then I think I would just be a brain-dead drone zombie. So
that's about where I am. So
yeah,
we'll be all right though.
Yeah, we'll be all right. It's just everything's temporary. So yeah, my little one's still crazy. My little one is about the same age as your firstborn, and they're getting every day is just a new challenge. Watching them grow. Holy fuck. But luckily, that sounded terrible. I'm saying for the purposes of recording, the baby is gone because it's Saturday. So usually on Saturday, she'll go over to the in-laws. So it gives my wife time to do stuff. It gives me time to record the podcast. So there's no distractions. I say, luckily, she's not here in the regards of it just makes things easier.
I know.
Yeah,
you don't have to justify with me, man. I don't think any parent out there understands.
Just to anybody listening, I love my daughter to death. Okay. So, yeah, Poltergeist 1982. I'm excited for this one. We did this one way back when, probably before episode 10. We did like a haunted house. I think it was titled "They're Here." Way back when, but we haven't given this one the full episodic treatment, and I'm excited to talk about this. My history with Poltergeist, I had to defer to my wife because the first time I logged it on Letterboxd was like 2019, and I didn't think that was the first time I had seen it. I thought I had watched before, so I asked Gabby, I was like, what's the deal with this? And she said, yeah, you watched it for the first time because there was a house at Halloween Horror Nights in 2018, and apparently that was the first time I'd ever watched Poltergeist. So usually when they announce the houses, if I haven't seen something that they've released, I'll watch it just so I can get an idea of what's going on. So apparently that was the first time I watched it back in 2018, and since then I've logged it four times. It was an instant hit with me when I watched it. I had seen stuff about it. It's a pretty well-known movie. I mean, Spielberg is involved, so I had known about it. Probably saw the remake before I saw this one because the remake was 2015. So that seems to be my history with most 80s movies is I saw the remake first. But unlike Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, the remake of Poltergeist is not good in any way. It is so bad. Major thumbs down. So this is definitely king shit of the Poltergeist franchise because there's even Poltergeist 2 and Poltergeist 3. Both fun movies, not good movies. So, yeah, that's kind of my history with Poltergeist. I remember you said you had seen this in like bits and pieces. So this was kind of like your first full viewing, right?
Yeah. So this is the first time I got to sit down and actually watch it and everything. And like you, I saw the original first, or not the original, the remake first. Years ago. And like you said, it's absolute dog shit. It's so hard to watch.
So bad.
But, these movies are just like not typically scary to me, watching them as an adult. They're always kind of campy. And but this one was really fun. I definitely enjoyed this watch. This was a good time. I'm glad you recommended it. And like you said, I don't know if it was because Spielberg was involved or for Toby Hooper. I don't know who the hell pulled the right strings to make this just like a really enjoyable experience. But I could watch this movie whenever. This was a lot of fun.
That's how I feel about Poltergeist as well. The rewatchability factor is there for me because, and we'll get to it, but there's a level of there's like a sense of family to this movie. It's not the stereotypical family. They're like the American dream family. You know what I mean? So there's a sense of just togetherness and just bonding there. And I don't know if I have it in the trivia, but I know Steven Spielberg is a producer on this, and E.T. was filming around the same time because they're both in 82, and there were so many delays with E.T. There we go, right here. Yeah, one of the reasons Steven Spielberg spent more time on set than he should have as a producer was due to the delays on E.T., so he was on the Poltergeist set a lot, which obviously probably led to why the movie is so good. No shade in any way to Tobe Hooper. He's an incredible director, but Steven Spielberg has that magic. He's got that money. He's got the eye for things. So I think I think Spielberg just kind of took it to the next level. And we have to state this first, or we have to state this before we get into it, is Steven Spielberg did not direct it. Sometimes there is a people misconstrue that he was directing it, but Tobe Hooper is the director. Spielberg just had a really heavy hand in this, so we have to give props to Tobe Hooper. So anything else you wanted to mention before we move on with the format here, sir?
No, sir. Let's go.
All right. Well, it is that time to get into what did Jason Hill make me watch. This week, for 1982, he made me watch a movie called Visiting Hours, and I actually had a copy of this. It came on a double feature from Scream Factory. It was Bad Dreams and Visiting Hours. So Visiting Hours is about a deranged, misogynistic killer who assaults a journalist. When he discovers that she survived the attack, he follows her to the hospital to finish her off. Now, I did not like the description about a misogynistic killer because I am the complete opposite way with that. I treat everyone equally, but there is a explanation. There's an explanation as to why he has this hatred towards women. It doesn't justify it for me, but at least there's a reason as to why he targets like very strong and like dependent women that he murders. So I'm like, okay, there is a reason and a connection as to why he is this way. So I was like, okay, that makes me feel better about it. William fucking Shatner is in this. Very, well, not young, but younger to me. I'm used to seeing him with the gray hair and all that shit. Right. So he's in this. And then Michael Ironside is in this too, and he plays the serial killer. Fucking phenomenal performance. Really enjoyed the movie. It's a great game of kind of cat and mouse. I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a slasher, although it does kind of have slasher elements. It's more of like a horror thriller because it is a game of cat and mouse, like I said. So I quite enjoyed this. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 with a heart. Jason gave this one 3 out of 5, no heart. Feels like a proto Manhunter / Red Dragon. I dig it. I also hope Michael Ironside is the nicest guy in real life. This has a 3.0 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is pretty solid, to be honest. And it actually made quite a bit of money. I think it made about 10 million, what's the word I'm looking for? Profit. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Unfortunately, this is not streaming anywhere. I did have the double feature, but you can find it on Amazon for a rental or just get the double feature from Scream Factory. So once again, that is Visiting Hours from 1982.
Jason says, check it out. You'll probably hate it.
Thanks, Jason. All right, let's move on to the highest grossing movies of the year and the Oscar winners. So funny enough that we're doing Poltergeist because the highest grossing movie of the year was E.T. the Extraterrestrial, bringing in a whopping $797.3 million. And the highest grossing horror movie of the year was Poltergeist. $77.2 million for Poltergeist. So Steven Spielberg crushing it that year.
Oh, absolutely.
This was the 55th Academy Awards on Monday, April 11th from 1983, honoring movies released in 1982. So best actor goes to Ben Kingsley for Gandhi. Actor in a supporting role goes to Louis Gossett Jr. for Officer and Gentleman. Actress goes to Meryl Streep, who's been in so many movies that have been nominated. She wins a lot for Sophie's Choice. And our girl, Sissy Spacek, again, nominated for a movie called Missing. That is 3 times she's been brought up so far since this year. She was nominated for Carrie, won for Coal Miner's Daughter, and then nominated again for Missing. Like, I think I said this already, but girl, I didn't know she was nominated for so many Oscars. I mean, she's a great actress. It doesn't surprise me, but it was still like, damn. Actress in a supporting role goes to Jessica Lange for Tootsie. Cinematography goes to Billy Williams and Ronnie Taylor for Gandhi. Director Richard Attenborough for Gandhi. Musical score, John Williams for E.T. the Extraterrestrial. And Best Picture goes to Gandhi. Now, guys, it's a white guy playing an Indian guy. Not a fan of that at all. It's Ben Kingsley. But apparently, after Jason from Jason, What Did Jason Make Me Watch? He sent me over some information. Apparently, he actually has Indian descent. I believe one of his parents was Indian, and he was born with an Indian name. So I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better about that. And I was like, what about the brown face? That's still not sitting right with me. And again, apparently, according to online sources that Jason sent over, he spent so much time out in the sun, and I think they used little to no makeup to actually get his complexion right. So apparently he just got a big, massive tan. I don't know. I still feel weird about it. There were so many other Indian people in the movie. I just feel like we should have gotten, I don't know. That's just my opinion. It's weird. I don't know. It's a really weird gray area. I feel better about it, but I don't know. So it was kind of distracting. It's also a 3 fucking hour movie. And I get it. It's a biopic. There's a lot to explain about him and all this stuff. And I don't know how historically accurate this was, but it just seemed like he was a peaceful guy trying to get rights for India, and the British people were like, nah, like, that's not gonna happen. Bro got arrested so many times for literally doing nothing, so I did not have enough time to do research, but it appears he was just a guy advocating for his country. Although I know there's some weird shit that went around with him that they didn't include in the movie, weird, about him having like very young, like I think underage girls sleep next to him in bed to test him. That's fucking creepy, guy. Not a fan of that. So that wasn't in the movie for obvious reasons.
Okay, I was gonna say, did we make sure that's not in the movie?
Yeah, that was not in the movie. But yeah, Gabby had mentioned that a while back, and it's like, all right, I get it, but also I don't get it because that's could they just at least be over the proper age? Then I'd feel better about it. But the fact that they were underage, I'm like, that is really creepy. That's really weird. So the movie itself was fine. It's 3 hours. It's long. I enjoyed the source material. I didn't realize India was British occupied for a while, and they were just trying to run all this shit there and basically massacring native Indians there. So it was a pretty powerful film. I just don't know how much of it is true because I don't know the history, so I can't really comment on that. Overall, though, since it was confirmed the things that I had issues with, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was good. I can't deny that it was a good movie. I don't know. It's got a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which it's an Oscar winner. Whatever. Definitely better than some of the stuff I have been watching, but not my favorite, and I probably won't revisit it because again, it's 3 hours. I had to watch this over 3 fucking days. I had to tap out every hour. I'm like, I can't do this because it is a lot of talking. So you can watch this on Tubi, which did not help my experience in any fucking way because of the ads. So it really made the 3 hour movie like a 4 hour movie. Once I saw it was on Tubi, I was like, I hate all of this. Why did I set this as a goal for myself? I don't want to do this anymore. But there are some movies coming up that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, 3 out of 5 from me. My review on Gandhi was white people ruin everything, and I stand by that statement as a white man. We are the fucking worst. So
True.
All right. Well, after that, let's move on to the IMDb Roundup. This is Poltergeist from 1982, released on June 4th of that year in the USA, rated PG, because we all know at this point in time, PG-13 was not around, and somehow this didn't get an R rating. Baffles me.
That scene. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but that scene caught me so off guard. I'm just like, PG, huh?
Yeah, okay. Just like the Stepford Wives, PG, you can show full breasts for like 30 seconds on screen. Okay, 70, all right. So
the 80s.
The 80s and the 70s, just a different time. We've got mild sex and nudity, moderate violence and gore, mild profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and severe and frightening and intense scenes. Coming in at an hour and 54 minutes, and this is one of the few movies, horror movies, mind you, that is basically 2 hours that I'm like okay with. It's fine. The pacing is so good, and we'll get into it. But yeah, the pacing is so perfect in this movie. So the fact that it's 2 hours, it doesn't even bother me. It is listed as a horror thriller, directed by Tobe Hooper, who we've discussed briefly. He also did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2, Salem's Lot, and The Funhouse. Written by Steven Spielberg, who has 202 producer credits and has not written much, but he has done Close Encounters of the Third Kind and The Goonies. Like, he does not write very many movies. He also apparently created the Medal of Honor video game, which is wild to me. I saw that on his IMDb. It said creator. Okay, interesting. It's also written by Michael Grace, who also wrote Poltergeist to the Other Side, and Mark Victor as well, writing Poltergeist to the Other Side. Composed by Jerry Goldsmith, who has been like on this show a lot recently because he composed Alien, Gremlins, and Total Recall. Cinematography by Matthew F. Leonetti. This is where shit gets weird. Also did the cinematography for Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Dawn of the Dead 2004, and Santa's Sleigh, which we reviewed in December. So that's an interesting arc there. Edited by Michael Kahn, who also edited Close Encounters of the Third Kind, all 3 Indiana Jones movies, even though I know there's a 4th one. He didn't do that one. And Jurassic Park, which is cool. Starring Craig T. Nelson as Steve Freeling, you probably know his voice from The Incredibles 1 and 2 as Mr. Incredible. Then we've got JoBeth Williams as Diane Freeling, who was also in Kramer versus Kramer as Phyllis Bernard. We've got Beatrice Straight as Dr. Lesh, who was in Network as Louise Schumacher. Dominique Dunn as Dana Freeling. She only has 15 other credits because she passed away the year this movie came out. She was only 22. Oliver Robbins as Robbie Freeling, who was also in Airplane 2, the sequel, as Jimmy Wilson, and Heather O'Rourke as Carol Ann Freeling. She was in Poltergeist 2 and 3, but she also passed away before Poltergeist 3 released. They actually had to do some reshoots and use a body double for one scene at the end of the movie because she passed away. Fucking tragic. I would have loved to see her career in film. And lest we forget Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina, who was also in Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon as Mrs. Collinswood. Estimated budget of $10.7 million, grossing $77.2. Movie was filmed in Agora Hills, Irvine, and Simi Valley, California. You can watch this on Paramount Plus. Is that how you watched it?
Yeah.
Nice. And movies that came out around the same time, we have Forbidden World, Annie, Rocky 3, Visiting Hours, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Grease 2, Blade Runner, The Thing, Tron, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Yeah, had to include that one. IMDb summary: a family's home becomes the center of paranormal activity that opens a doorway to the other side. With help, they must cross over to get their daughter back. This is Poltergeist.
The house looks just like the one next to it. And the one next to that. And the one next to that. A young couple live in it.
Give Ken a kiss.
You are so obnoxious.
With their 3 children.
Of course, you have to kind of chew each bite 10 times.
And something more.
They're here.
Sweetie, remember last night? Do you remember when you woke up and you said they were here?
Uh-huh.
Well, who did you mean? Who's here?
TV people.
Something's funny going on here next door. Something,
We were wondering if maybe you had experienced any disturbances lately.
What kind of disturbances?
I don't know what hovers over this house.
ghosts.
Now Steven Spielberg crosses a frightening new threshold into a world within our own. Its form is revealed.
What is it?
Its focus is clear. And the games are over. Poltergeist. It knows what scares you.
So, John, overall thoughts, what do we got?
Well, I mean, it's a well-crafted movie, like you said, and you could definitely see Spielberg's like influence here. This didn't feel like another campy 80s or 70s horror film. This was engaging. You could watch it. I don't know if it was like the depth of the characters were there. They seemed to have chemistry with one another. They seemed like a real family. I got big time E.T. vibes, honestly, like just like not dysfunction of the family, but just like the day-to-day, like, you know, day-to-day shit of the family, what they go through, like eating and picking on each other, whatever. Like, it didn't feel fabricated. It felt very organic. And I don't know, maybe that's part of like why it like hooked me. I don't know. This was just like a very fun film to watch. It's obviously very funny. I don't think it's scary like at all, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. But yeah, this was a good time. You can see that like suburban life really just like hasn't changed over the past 40 years. And maybe that's another reason why I enjoyed it so much. It's just like, it felt like I grew up in this neighborhood. You know, obviously the house wasn't that nice, but like, you know, it's just like, I felt like I lived this somehow, you know, like I knew this neighbor or something along those lines. But yeah, this was a solid watch.
Heck yeah. Okay. Overall thoughts for me, very, very reminiscent to what Jason said about Alien back on that episode. I think this is the benchmark for supernatural haunted house movies. It's just done so well. And it's not like movies don't compare to this. There are plenty of movies I think that are, you know, equal to this, but I don't know. For some reason, this just for me set the bar for what a haunted house / supernatural movie should be. Obviously, there were plenty of movies that came before this that, you know, it's not like this is the first haunted house movie, but I really do think this just upped the ante for movies going forward. And it's what I compare a lot of haunted house movies to, because I feel like they're trying to replicate, you know, the magic that what is Poltergeist. So I just think it's a fantastic film. A couple things before we get into likes. I don't know. I just noticed this time, probably because I was taking notes on Poltergeist, and I don't do that unless I'm watching for the podcast. So things that white people do. This is great. I love this. Things white people do in horror movies. Okay, count the time.
Put raisins in potato salad.
Yeah. Okay. There's one that wasn't on my list. So count the time in between lightning and thunder to see how far away a storm is. That's white people shit. Be happy that a chair is moving on its own in your house and not freaked out. White people shit. Not leave after a fucking tree yoinks your kid out of bed and almost eats him. That's white people shit. Not throwing away the fucking clown that scares the kid by the end of the movie. White people shit. And then a random note that I had was apparently I saw in the captions, apparently the dog's name was E-Buzz, like E.Buzz. Do you know what that could possibly mean? Because I don't. Like
No, I have no idea.
Electric buzz? Yeah, very weird. So
I don't know.
That's my random tangent of white people shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of it in here.
Yeah, leaving the house, number one thing. So I do have a small theory on this. Obviously, if you've watched the movie, you know that the reason the events started happening is because the entire subdivision is built on top of an Indian burial ground. But I was wondering, why is it only seeming to happen at the Freeling's house? And my kind of like theory is, if you notice in the movie, nothing happens in the movie until they start digging the pool out. Then that's when shit starts happening. So I think that, and yes, you have to disturb the earth in some fashion to build a house, but not to the extent of digging, you know, because they were talking about their pool being like 10 feet deep. So I think once they broke the ground and started digging their pool, that's when things started to pop off. So I think that's kind of my little theory about if they wouldn't have built the pool or disturbed the earth in that manner, I don't think the incident would have happened. I mean, it's entirely true, it could have, but that's my small, tiny little theory. So moving on to likes, I think it's fun that the movie starts with the you remember this as a kid, right? The broadcast end, like, this concludes our broadcast day. Yeah, for all you youngins out there, the TV used to just stop at a certain point in the night, and they would play the Star Spangled Banner, and then it would be, this concludes our broadcast day, and then cuts to the static. And what I think is really great about this movie is that it kicks off right away. Carol Ann comes down to the TV, starts talking to the TV, to the static, and it's like, it goes. We're 5 minutes into this movie, and it goes. So I love that about this movie. There's very little downtime. I don't know if you felt the same way about that. There's very little downtime, and even when there is downtime, the conversation is engaging or wholesome in some way.
Yeah, it's funny or relatable or whatever. Like I said, it just feels like these are characters, they're relatable. It's not just this, they're not just there for the sake of being there. They're not just a body. Like, they really do bring something to the movie. And I mean, like you said, there's not a lot of downtime. There's a lot of shit that's happening in this movie. That's probably another reason why I enjoyed this so much, is because there isn't just like filler. There really isn't. It's just always something cool or funny or whatever going on until the very end.
Yeah, and like we mentioned a little earlier, or what I said is, I think they're just like the ideal American family. They seem genuinely happy together. They have real problems, real annoyances like all us do. There isn't that stereotypical, divorced couple, or the kids hating their mom or dad, the angsty teen that's rebelling, or the husband that dismisses his wife when shit starts to go down. Like, it completely changes the formula for horror movies, in my opinion, because they do things so differently. And that's why I think, just like you, I think I can relate to this as well, because it doesn't feel cliche. It doesn't feel tropey in any way. It's completely different. So have to talk about the score and the effects too, because I think the score it's very weird, because it starts off, it's very gentle and ethereal, and it's happy, and it's got this nice tune to it, which they carry throughout the entire film. But when shit gets tense, they'll slow it down, and then they'll add some high-pitched strings in the background. So you still have this sense of feeling safe, but also terrified at the same time. I don't know if you noticed that, but that score is so good. And that's because it is, it's, what did I say? Jerry Goldsmith, right? Jerry Goldsmith. He's a fucking legend. I mean, Gremlins is one of my favorite scores of all time. I love that tune. So that really sets the tone for the movie itself, because you have this interlude of nice calming music that lulls you into a false sense of security, because then when shit starts ramping up, you're like, fuck, why did I think things were gonna be okay?
Well, yeah, and then there's even scenes where it's very playful and fun and everything too, like the scene where the paranormal team shows up and shit's just flying around the room, like it's kind of like, yay, haha, this is like a joke, and they don't realize like how dark it actually gets. But yeah, it definitely moves really well.
Yeah, and speaking specifically about the scene you mentioned, I love that scene because it's weird. It looks so real, but also so fake at the same time. And I think it's because they used real objects to get those images. It's not CG, but they had to overlay them on the screen. Superimpose, I think is what the word I'm looking for is. So it looks so real, but I'm like, man, it looks so fake. But I still think the effects, especially like the ectoplasmic, spirity things, they still hold up so fucking well. It's incredible.
Oh yeah,
it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the effects are great. The score is great. The pacing, I think, is also excellent as well, because like I said, it gets going right from the beginning. Ramps up till about 45 minutes. I mean, you have like third act shit happening at about 45 minutes, but then it slows back down. The team shows up. They have this nice, heartwarming conversation about the other side and this and that, and then it slowly starts building itself back up to the end, and then you get this fake ending. It's like, oh, everything's happy, everything's joyous, and then shit hits the fan again. So you get like three shit hitting the fan moments, which is just like, and you think going up and down can kind of be, not paced well, but I think it's perfect how they play it, because it ramps up, and then you get one last like gotcha moment. I think it's I think the pacing is perfect in this movie.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so I really enjoy that. So basically every single part about this movie is just so good. And I don't think the acting is bad in a sense. I think the acting is great. It feels natural. It's not like it's not like Oscar worthy performances, but it does feel genuine and natural. It doesn't feel forced. Even the kids are great actors and actresses. I think they all do a very good job, which is hard because sometimes kid actors are hit or miss. You never know.
Yeah, but all three of these brought it. You know, there's some really funny interactions with like the oldest daughter and that construction crew and everything. She does like the whatever little gimmick she does and then flicks them off and everything. And it's just funny. You know, she can carry it well. But yeah, it's a well done movie. Everybody does what they have to do. Like you said, the acting is good enough. It's not like you said, it's not an Oscar winning performance by any means. But you're not like, why is this person in the movie? Like, why did this person get cast? Like, what the fuck am I watching?
There's not like a weak link in the chain at all. Everyone brings a certain level of performance to the story. I think it works very well. Speaking about that moment with the construction crew, though, it's funny, but it's all from their perspective. It's gross because they're grown men and they're like, "Oh, I love you, bro." She's a teenager. What? Stop that.
Yeah, that whole scene was weird. And then like the other construction workers like reaching in through the house, like tasting the soup on the stove and drinking coffee. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, guys, this is just a Wild West in the 80s. What the hell? Like,
this isn't a fucking buffet. This isn't the Golden Corral. Get your hand out of my food.
She doesn't even get mad. She's just like, okay, go back to work. And he's like, sorry. Like,
you're silly. Get out of here. Let's see. A couple more likes for me, and then I'll shut up. Another thing for any youngins out there. I say youngin like I'm some old fucking fart. I'm only 30. I'll be 35 next month. But if anyone's confused by the beginning when the dad's watching TV playing or when they're playing football and the TV keeps changing, yeah, it's because it was the 80s and they didn't have all the frequencies they have now. So sometimes your remote would be on the same frequency as your neighbor. And I just love that little scene where they're going back and forth, clicking, and then right before it ends, you see Craig T. Nelson just like click. I'm like, yeah, that would be me. Like,
what is up with the dad bringing in the spraying beer all over the place? Like, bro, just open it outside. He's getting everybody wet with beer. Like, if somebody did that to me, I'd be like, get the fuck out.
Perfect you said that, because that's actually my first dislike. We'll go back to likes here. Let's just let's Tangia real quick here and go down this rabbit trail, because that's my first dislike, is the fucking guy on the bike. Well, I guess it would be the kids in the neighborhood who tripped up his bike and made him fall. Fuck those kids. Kids are dicks. But then he drops all the beer, and instead of not bringing in the ones that are spraying beer everywhere, he just brings them inside, shooting beer. Remind me to never invite that guy over for anything. Right. And then he also leaves some of the beer out in the streets. Like, yeah,
he just brings in like 3 or 4. He's like, I'm late or something. I don't know what was going on there.
Like party foul for one. Terrible. That beer looks like it's hot. So you've got hot, shooken up beer. This is perfect. I love this. And then my last like was specifically one of the shots at the end of the movie. It's where they elongate the hallway when she's not JoBeth. JoBeth is her fucking name. When Diane is at the end of the movie, she's looking down the hallway, and the camera does, I believe it's a dolly zoom, where they push in the camera but zoom out, and the hallway looks like it's expanding. Fucking great, because that was done in camera practically. They didn't do that with any effects, so I think that was a really good shot. And I mean, the movie's shot very well, but that scene specifically. So, so let's go over to you. What are some things that you liked that stood out to you?
I mean, how awesome is it that they actually use real skeletons in the pool? It's taken us like how long to get into this episode, and we haven't even talked about it yet. Like, that's so unnerving when you're watching it in real time. It's one thing to like know that that's there, but when you're watching this girl like swim around with dead bodies, like, how much of that was makeup? Like, were they actual skeletons, or they were just like fresh out of the morgue, still decaying? And they're like, I couldn't imagine working on that as a special effects artist. Like,
this was a person. No,
right? This was a person.
Yeah, apparently it was cheaper. It was cheaper to get real skeletons from. I think they got them from overseas than it was to, because I don't think they just had plastic skeletons back like they do now. I don't know if that was really a thing because you can buy them in every Halloween store now. But I think it was just cheaper for them to do that, so they did that. But yeah, that doesn't take away how fucking gross that would be to be around. Because yeah, that was a person.
Yep,
that's icky.
Yep, and there was like 3 of them in there that she had to deal with. Like that's real terror. Oh, yeah. Definitely, takes that scene up, like the creepiness up just a little bit extra, knowing that. I love the stages, that they used, especially that scene where mom's getting kind of turned upside down along the ceiling and the wall and everything. Like, I don't know if you're getting that with somebody that isn't like, it isn't Spielberg. I don't know if he's.
That's true.
I don't know if Hooper's is doing something like that. But that was awesome. Same with the little girl, getting sucked into the closet, like that whole scene and everything being super chaotic. They went like the extra mile on a lot of these scenes here, and I think that's just, I don't know, makes it all the more fun.
No, I agree because. And I know how they do it. You basically have a room that's on a mechanism that can turn, but it still hurts my brain because she's on the bed, then she goes up the wall, across the ceiling, and then down the other side. I'm like, I'm trying to picture this in my head of like, how does this work? But it's really cool because I could probably name you a handful of movies that do that. I know The Stuff does something similar to that from 1985. But you don't see that a lot. So when you do see something like that, it just brings me an enormous amount of joy because it's like, man, they could have used wires and made it look a little wonky, but no, they took a room and just spun it around and I'm pretty sure that was JoBeth Williams. I don't think that was a stunt double. I mean, it could have been, but I'm pretty sure it was her. So yeah, that scene, and then oh my god, what is the other scene you just said? Oh, where she gets sucked into the closet. Yeah, apparently that scene scared the actress so much that she didn't want to do it. And I think it was either Toby or Steven was like, you don't have to do it. And if you watch, you can see when they cut to the girl hanging off the bed, it's a stunt double for her because it scared her so much. And they're like, you do not have to do this if you don't want to.
Right.
So shout out to Spielberg being the fucking king for working with children and making them feel super comfortable on set. But yeah, I mean, everything about the effects in this movie are just so fucking incredible. The ghost that pops out at the end that's roaring like a lion that's on all fours and it's this big lanky thing. I don't know how I understand how they could do the effect and film it, but then superimposing it onto film and making it look like it's in the room is just next fucking level, dude. I commend the effects team for how incredible this movie still looks to this day. And that's why, obviously, we all love practical effects here at Frightmares. They're the best, especially when they're done very well. And this movie does it so fucking well. And with a budget like almost $11 million, it's no wonder why this looks so good. I'm assuming Spielberg brought a lot of change to that for sure, because $11 million for a horror movie in the 80s that's a decent amount of money, and it shows. Right. It shows. So yeah, I mean, I can sit here and tell you everything I liked about this movie, but it's almost everything. I have very little dislikes. There are a few. Did you have anything else that stuck out to you from the movie?
Not for likes. We can go into dislikes if you're up for it.
Yeah, I weirdly have a lot, but it's not even like about the movie itself. It's like the guy with the beer. It's like shit like that, So, first, the guy with the beer, that makes me crazy every time. I mentioned it already. I'm not gonna go into it again, but yeah, remind me to never invite that person over. All the fucking weed that was all over the bed when they were smoking joints. I was like, buddy, pick that up and put it back in your box. You got fucking grinded up weed everywhere. Don't be wasteful with the beer and the weed. I'm like, man, this is party foul. But maybe they just didn't give a shit. Weed was probably dirt cheap back then. And then he gets up and like jumps off the bed. I'm like, that weed is probably all over the floor. It's like the clean freak in me that is just between the beer and the weed. I'm like, I just don't ever want to go to this house. I'd rather deal with the ghosts. I would so much rather deal with the ghosts. some of the strobing effects for me, I don't have epilepsy, but intense strobing like fucks me up. I don't know what that is, but there's a lot of strobing effects in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of fuck me up because, my TV, the TV, I have a 4K player, 4K TV, and the brightness, it's bright. So when it flashes, it's like gunshots. Like I'm like, oh god. So
right,
little much for me at some moments, but the pool construction workers hitting on the teenage girl, that was gross. Mentioned that already.
Girl, yep.
I need to know if anybody feels the same way as me, because Gabby didn't. So I need to know if you felt the same way. The fucking stairs. Did you have a problem with the stairs in that movie, or am I the only person that hates those fucking stairs?
No, I didn't have a problem at all. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm alone. Well, it's just the way it's like an S-curve stair, but there's a shot specifically that's looking up the stairs, and they just look uneven, and they don't look like it's stable. And even at one point, someone falls down them, and the banister like shakes aggressively. I'm like, those just don't seem structurally sound. And it's like the jankiest, curviest, just most unsafe looking stairs. I don't know what it is. And then I have something here. The weird taped ghost bit with near the end of the movie. I don't know what that is. I wrote that down last night. It says the weird taped ghost bit with the more near the end of the movie. Nailed it. Don't know what that is. Hopefully someone can decode
obviously that part.
Yeah. How could you not like that
obviously.
part? So I don't know what that is. Obviously, autocorrect fucked me up on that one. So, yeah. What do you got for things that didn't work for you?
Robbie's buck teeth. I was not a fan. I couldn't stop staring at them the whole fucking movie. They were just there. There are certain scenes where like you just couldn't stop staring at. Like there's a profile of him and it's just see a shadow and you just see these two teeth hanging down. You don't see anything else. You just see these two teeth. What the hell is going on?
I'm crying. Oh my god. No, because now that you mentioned that, I noticed this for the first time when him and the mom are in the silhouette of the TV. All I saw was those fucking teeth. Those fucking teeth.
I was like, what is happening?
Beautiful. I love it.
That was the only dislike I
had. You came in hot and you left on a high note.
See you later.
That was fucking beautiful. Oh my god, I need to recuperate here. Whoo, I'm crying. It's hot. I had a hot take. Well, I don't know if because I asked Gabby and she said it might be considered a hot take, but the me saying that this is the benchmark for a haunted house movie, is that a hot take? Like, I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it could be. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I guess I'll say that's my hot take. I don't know. Do you have anything for hot takes?
Scary Movie definitely ruined some of these scenes for me because I kept thinking of the second one where the weed came in and took Shorty out of the window, when the tree takes Robbie out. Yeah, and like the whole, there's certain scenes that Scary Movie parodied so well that I'm like, that's where this is from. And it's just hard to take it seriously.
No, that's fair. Fun fact about the Scary Movie franchise. I don't know what it was specifically about 3 that I love so much, but it's the one I watched the most. And up until recently, I think last year, I couldn't remember if I had seen 1 and 2 all the way through. I knew bits and pieces of it. So I watched them and I was like, yeah, I've never seen those all the way through. So I'd never seen Scary Movie 1 and 2 all the way through. While I do like them, not really my jam. I don't know. Marlon Wayans in that, I think that's who he is. And I know he's supposed to be insufferable, but it's like to the point of annoyance with me. In the first one, I'm like, God, it's just not even funny because he's just like the laugh he does. But for me, Scary Movie 3 is the best one. And they're apparently doing Scary Movie 6 next year with the Wayans brothers coming back to do that. So I'm excited because that's something that they could have done forever. And then they just stopped. I'm assuming they probably stopped making money, maybe. But I mean, they did all the way up to 5, and I was wondering what happened with that. So it'll be nice to see a new Scary Movie and a new Final Destination this year. That is like one of my favorite franchises, low key one of my favorite franchises. So side tangent there. Hooked moment for me is the first time the ectoplasmic mist comes out of the TV and then like shakes the whole fucking house, and then Carol Ann says her famous "They're here" line. That's when I'm like, yep, I'm in. I'm ready for the fucking insanity to happen. What about you? What was the moment that hooked you in?
Just early on, just the engagement with the family, we talked about how, real they felt and everything, and nothing felt fabricated. I always said that already, but like it just felt like this was a family you could have known growing up as a kid or something like that. So it was just, just easy to watch and follow along with. And obviously it didn't take long to get going regardless, with early on with the opening scene, and then, shortly thereafter with the "They're here" part. And then, she gets sucked into the wall. But yeah, I mean, just early on, I mean, it was easy to bring you in here.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right though, because of the sense of family this movie has, it's almost a way for people to just instantly connect with them, because they don't, like I said, they don't have those tropes of just the, broken family dynamic. They feel like a neighbor that would be living next door. You're totally right. I love that you said that, because that's exactly how it feels. And they just feel so natural and genuine. And I think the cast, I know Craig T. Nelson. I know him from some things. I primarily know him from The Incredibles and stuff like that, but I don't really know Jo Beth Williams from much. And, the two daughters that are in this died so young. I only know them from this movie. So I love that.
Right.
The fact that these aren't really like, I mean, yes, Craig T. Nelson's very well known, but for the most part, to me, they're not like so well known, but I think they work so perfectly together. So
yep.
Yeah, if you're not brought in by the family dynamic, then you will definitely be brought in by some other horrific moment. But I do agree that it's not necessarily scary to me at this point. I'm marveling at the effects. It's like, wow, this is so well done. But I also try to put myself in 1982 seeing this. This would have horrified the absolute shit out of me. I can't imagine seeing a movie with effects like this in the time period, because now I'm like, wow, these are great. In the time period, I would have been like, did this really, did they really get this on film? Like, holy shit.
Right.
For me, I'm never lost in this movie. I think it does a very good job of keeping you engaged in some way, whether it be with conversations with the family and the investigators that come in, or spooky events that are happening, or the practical effects. So I don't have a moment where I'm like, yeah, I'm done. So I assume you don't either, or is there a moment that kind of lost you?
I had to put something here, and I don't even know if I was ever really lost, but are these not the two most like nonchalant parents, like after they lose their fucking daughter? They're just their demeanor doesn't change. They don't even go to the police. They just go to the only paranormal team in town, which is very convenient. And they go through the whole rigmarole with that, and then shit gets a little escalated, and they send old Bucktooth Billy off on a cab, random cab, right? Like totally unsupervised. You don't know where that dude goes.
Nope.
Like the 80s were just a different animal, man. Like it was insane. You always hear stuff like, you could trust people to do the right thing back then. They had integrity. And like, no, Barbara, actually you couldn't. That was the very peak of serial killings in this country. And like you just sent your kid off in some random fucking taxi and hope for the best. Like they're just like, they're cracking jokes. Like it's like their daughter's gone. Yeah. Gone. Speaking through a television, and they're totally just going about their life like it's no big fucking deal.
Probably need to put down the fucking weed and pay attention.
Seriously, like there's no sadness, nothing like that. Just business as usual. Just like, yeah, I don't know.
Now, Jo Beth Williams does seem concerned at some moments, but it's really when Carol Ann is speaking and she doesn't know where she is, because she's like, "Where are you? Where are you?" But after that, when it's calmed down, they're just hanging out on the couch, talking back and forth, like, "Hey, this is our Saturday afternoon,"
sipping whiskey with the lady from the paranormal team out of the flask. Like, she's in the TV. She does this all the time. Like, it's just.
Yeah, oh, what is it, Tuesday? Oh, that's TV time for Carol Ann. In the TV time. Yeah. Oh,
screen time's bad for you, kids.
You just brought up something that I forgot to mention. When they show them that room and it's all going crazy, and the scene directly after that, when the investigator picks up her coffee and she's like quivering, that fucking kills me every goddamn time. I love that. Continue. Because did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, that's it. That's it.
So, Bucktooth Billy. Oh, God, that's going to live rent-free in my head forever. Horror moment for me is probably what most people's horror moment is. I wanted to pick something else, but it's just, I can't not mention the face ripping scene, especially for you, because that caught you off guard, I'm sure. It's and it's not, he didn't actually do that to his face. It just turns out to be a vision, but it is so fucking horrifying to watch this man peel through his face and just drop it in the sink. It's very goopy.
So awesome.
Is that your horror moment as well, or did you have a different one?
No, I had a different one. Right before that, the scene where he, why did he just pull a random steak out of the fridge and put it on the fucking counter in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I assume he wanted to cook a steak in the middle of the night. But again, why is everyone just going through these people's food?
I was wondering that.
I don't even think he announced, like, hey, I'm going to go grab the T-bone that was probably $20 from the supermarket and just throw that. Was he going to microwave it? I didn't see a grill at this house.
Nope. Yeah, he just pulled it out and then just set it on the counter. Then he ate the maggot-filled chicken. Like, that was a little gross. That one was gross. But horror moment for me was the tree scene.
Ooh,
before the tree scene. So being a little kid, and you're not quite to that point where you're like, I'm grown up, I'm not afraid of anything. When things still get to you and you're still kind of like you need your parents, and that just like the shadows that a tree and a scary storm can like kind of do. It kind of took me right back to being a kid and just being afraid of little things like that. That was one of the things, probably my horror moment for sure.
Something I noticed too on this watch that I never noticed before is in that scene that you're talking about, when he goes to cover up the clown and starts walking back to bed, the light flashes and it lights up the tree and you can see it kind of, it looks like it's about to reach out and grab him, which, I mean, it does do that eventually, but I never noticed that the shadow or the silhouette of the tree against the lightning, because it's real quick. If you blink, you'll miss it. And I was like, ooh, I never noticed that before. So it's the little details that they add in this movie. But yeah, that was almost my horror moment, because could you imagine just being ripped out of your fucking bed by a tree?
By a tree.
I'm sure kids were horrified of trees. If a kid saw that in 1982 and they had a tree outside their window, hands down, they were probably horrified that was going to come in there and rip them out.
I was afraid of cars when I was a kid because I watched Christine. I thought something was just going to come careening through my goddamn house and kill me for no reason. I was afraid of cars, legit.
I was afraid of swimming in the pool and getting eaten by a shark. The most.
Oh yeah, that too.
Okay, yeah. So the most irrational fear ever.
Yep.
And even to this day, if I jump in a pool, I'm like, ooh, no, I have to remind myself it's gonna be okay. But the second you don't remember to remind yourself, that's when that's when you get eaten by a fucking shark.
That's when they get you.
Exactly. There are no kills in this movie, so I did not have
the bird in the beginning. Yeah, that was my favorite kill. I think Carol Ann did it on purpose. I think she just wanted the goldfish all along. I think she poisoned the bird.
That's your hot take.
She immediately says, "Can I get a goldfish now?" Like, fuck this bird.
And the dog does live. I was so worried for that dog. The first time I saw this movie, the dog lives, but the bird does not. Fuck that bird, apparently. Oh, God, that's hilarious. I can't wait to tell my wife that. She's going to cry over that. Cackling. Favorite character for me is Tangina. I love Zelda Rubinstein. I feel like I don't see her in enough things, but I just love her. I just love her performance. She also has that like such a distinct voice. So she's my favorite. What about you? Favorite character?
To your point, I actually remember watching this show on, I don't know what channel it was on. It was like ABC Family or whatever the hell it was back in the early 2000s. It was called Scariest Places on Earth. And she was the narrator and her voice was so fucking creepy. And like you said, it's like very like iconic almost because it's just so unique. But yeah, her and Linda Blair were actually like the hosts on it and everything. And they would just take you to all these haunted locations, all over the world and talk about the dark history and all that stuff and like things that happened there and everything. It was fun. I remember watching that in like the early 2000s. Favorite character for me was Mom. I thought she was great. I don't know what the hell her name was, but I just put her down as Mom.
Diane Freeling.
Instead of panicking like other adults have, she straps a football helmet to her youngest daughter and lets her become a Roomba for the fucking poltergeist in the middle of the kitchen.
The people who created Roomba saw this and were like, I can make millions of dollars.
That right there. She just like, I don't know, man.
Oh, fuck.
She was fun.
That's good shit. I did not have a least favorite character. I enjoyed. I mean, besides, I guess could we say that Bucktooth Billy's teeth are a character in themselves? Because I hated those.
Yeah, that was my least favorite character because those damn chompers, man. I'm good. I don't need to see those things.
Oh fuck! All right, my favorite line. I have a line for the first time in a while, and it's solely based on how he delivers the line, but it's from Craig T. Nelson when he's like, "You son of a bitch! You left the bodies and you only moved the headstones, didn't you? Why? Why?" Just the way he fucking says that line. It's just like, "Wah!" And in the HHN house at Poltergeist, in Poltergeist, oh my god, in the Poltergeist house at HHN, you entered through the pool scene. It was really cool. Like the facade was walking into the pool scene, and they played that clip over and over. So it just lives in my head forever. And it's just every time he says it, it's not supposed to be funny, but it comes off funny to me. So, any favorite lines from you?
Yes. When the daughter, actually, so dad has just like pried his son out of the tree, and there is a funnel. There's a tornado in the backyard, and the daughter runs out and says, "It was a tornado." Like dad was outside, literally like braving this fucking thing. Mom's holding onto the house, and Captain Obvious comes running out, pointing to the fucking funnel in the backyard, saying it was a tornado.
Like, gee, what gave that away there?
Thank you. Thank you. Go watch your sister.
What I love, and I actually have a review about this specifically, but what I love is the fact that daughter is just not there for 90% of the movie.
I thought she died or something. I'm like, where did she go?
Besides her seeing the tree incident and the tornado, I don't know if she is aware of what went on at that fucking house.
Why are we moving? What's happening?
Oh, goodness gracious. Now, with all of this being said, Poltergeist 2 and 3, like I said this before, they're not, I don't think they're necessarily great movies. That's just my opinion. They are enjoyable. 2 actually brings back Craig T. Nelson, JoBeth Williams, Carol Ann. I don't know about the other kids. So it actually does bring them back to that house, and it's fun. And then Poltergeist 3 is just Carol Ann, or Heather O'Rourke. She's back in the third one, and it takes place in a high rise. That one is a lot of fun. I really like Poltergeist 3. I just don't necessarily think they're good movies, but they are like fun, enjoyable. And I own those as well. I'll probably watch those at some point just because they are wacky and unhinged. And in the high rise setting in Poltergeist 3 is just so much fun. Anything else you would like to mention about Poltergeist before we move on here and wrap things up?
I think Heather O'Rourke's grip strength needs to be commended because she held on for dear life for a long time before getting sucked into that goddamn closet.
The bed broke before she did. Yeah,
it was impressive.
Yeah, no, grip test needs to be tested. You've had a lot of zingers today, and I'm fucking here for it. All right, then let's move on to the post-review stuff here. Taglines. From a dimension beyond the living, a terror to scare you to death. Its form is revealed, its focus is clear, and the games are over. The unknown will be revealed, the invisible will be seen. They're here, iconic. It knows what scares you, which is, I love that line a lot. And some things have to be believed to be seen, just like Santa Claus. So, trivia. Trivia, both of the terrors that plague Robbie came from Steven Spielberg's own fear as a child, a fear of clowns and a tree outside of his window. James Caron at the time was also a commercial spokesman for Pathmark supermarkets. He received hate mail from people saying that they would never shop there again because of his character's treatment of the Freelings, which is separate the art from the artist. Like, my God, guys. Drew Barrymore was considered for the role of Carol Ann, but producer Steven Spielberg wanted someone more angelic. Barrymore's audition ultimately landed her to star in E.T. the Extraterrestrial as Gertie. When filming the scene in which Heather O'Rourke had to hold onto the headboard while the wind machine blew toys into her closet behind her, the young actress fell apart. Producer Steven Spielberg stopped everything, took her in his arms, and said that she wouldn't have to do the scene again. Okay, so it was Spielberg who jumped in and said that. There you go. Real human skeletons were used. We already mentioned that. JoBeth Williams was not made aware of this until after the scene was finished.
That's what I thought
Yeah.
that I read before. It's just like, oh yeah, by the way, that was Uncle Larry. Just, oh God, I couldn't.
It's kind of fucked up, but I get why they did it because she probably wouldn't have done the scene if she knew
No
that.
fucking way would you get in there with real dead bodies. Nobody in their right fucking mind would.
Like, I just got hepatitis A through Z. Perfect. The crawling stake was done by using a real stake, which was laid over a slot cut between the tiles and the countertop. 2 wires were fashioned to the bottom of the stake, and a special effects operator hidden under the counter simply moved the wires to make the stake crawl like a caterpillar. A similar operation was done for when Diane presents to Stephen the chairs that move across the room by themselves. A wire was fastened to one of the chair's legs under the set, and the operator wobbled the chair with the wire, then dragged it to the destination. So it was on a wire, but they were underneath the set, which is really fun.
What about the little girl?
What do you mean?
How did she get from one side of the set to the other? Because she moved on her own too, didn't she?
Yeah, I don't. They just punted her. That's what
Right?
They just
Kicked
punted
her
her.
across
Yeah.
the room.
This film was originally given an R rating from the MPA due to scenes of a child in peril, despite little gore in the film. The rating was lowered.
What do you mean, little gore? A guy ripped his face off in the middle of the kitchen.
Define a little, because that's a lot.
Little, yeah. What? Jesus.
The rating was lowered to PG on appeal. The film predates the PG-13 rating by about 2 years, which most certainly would have gotten that without issues. This is one of the earliest films to deal with EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. Goofs. When Diane enters the portal in the closet, the bedroom is filled with a strong wind, but the curtains behind her are motionless. Fun fact. I actually noticed this as well. I had to slow it down. But in the chair stacking scene, just as Diane bends down to get items out of the cupboard, you can see the reflection of the crew switching the chair on the toaster because it's very reflective. And then, moreover, there are a couple leaves that get disturbed by a couple leaves of the plant in the corner are disturbed. And lastly here, Diane is shocked by the front doorknob when trying to escape to seek help. When she is thrown across the room, behind the staircase, a crew member's foot can be seen pulling back suddenly in an unsuccessful attempt to stay out of a shot, which is funny. Almost nailed it there, pal. Almost nailed it. Rated 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, has an 88% on the tomato meter, and a 79% audience score. John, what did you give this movie?
4 out of 5. Really enjoyed this one. A lot of fun. Rewatchability is up there. You can just pop this on whenever and have a good time. Doesn't even have to be spooky season, I don't think.
No, I watch this any time of year. Well, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5, so that is a Frightmare certified slap. And to even back this up even more, Gabby gave this a 5 out of 5, so that is a triple whammy on the certified slap there. Similar movies according to Letterboxd, we have Poltergeist 2015, The Conjuring, Insidious, The Conjuring 2, and Insidious Chapter 2. Similar movies according to IMDb, we have Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween 1978, Carrie, and Poltergeist 3. Did you get any funny reviews?
I did not.
Damn it, John. You have 2 kids. You have 2 kids in no time. How dare you? How dare you? No, that's totally fine. I'm glad I got a bunch then, because I got 7 just in case, and I'm just gonna use them all. That's what we're gonna do here today. So, let me zoom in here. 4 stars from. Have you ever seen a movie called Videodrome?
No.
Okay.
No, but it sounds familiar.
It might not make sense to you, but someone out there might get this. 4 stars from Jay. Videodrome for the whole family, and if you watch that, you'll understand. No rating and no star from K. Austin. Oh, I didn't even notice that. The audacity of making the middle-class dream seem so inconvenient. 5 stars from Kieran. Normalizing suburban parents who smoke weed when their kids are asleep. Hey, if you can parent and smoke weed, I say go for it. 3.5 stars from another J. The daughter would have been such a good iPad kid. Fucking love it. 5 stars from Brian. Don't you hate it when you're trying to go to sleep and a giant gaping throat appears on your wall and tries to suck you into the ghost dimension?
Not now, throat. I'm trying to sleep.
Back off, throat. Fuck. 4 stars from Celia. I am not all capitalized into the idea of kissing while covered in jam. And honey, neither am I.
Yeah, pretty gross.
I love this name. This is probably my favorite name. 4 stars from Gal Pacino. Fucking top tier. Extra half star because if you squint, you can pretend that Craig T. Nelson is Harrison Ford. And last, but certainly not least, we have 3.5 stars from Shane. Love the teenage daughter. She eats cereal and makes phone calls. Never once has a spooky ghost encounter. She's just at a party while her entire family is getting coffin flopped. I don't know what coffin flopped is, but, well, I guess at the end of the movie when all the coffins are popping. That, by the way, forgot to mention that. That's an incredible scene when all those coffins are just fucking shooting out of the ground and skeletons are popping out. Real skeletons. Yeah, I'm good there. John, this is where I would normally ask where we can hear the sultry sound of your voice. I mean, you can still hear it. It is still up and available. So if you want to go check out John's podcast, it is still up where you can find any podcast, Little Hops of Horrors. He did about 100 episodes. And it is great, good quality content. I don't know how you did a podcast by yourself. I commend that. It would be a train wreck if I tried to do this alone. Let me tell you. So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Slasher app at frightmarespodcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can also follow me personally on Letterboxd at Dr. Proctor. Next episode is the bonus episode for the month, and we have a returning director who invited himself back, and I could not say no. You don't say no to Eduardo Sanchez, and he's coming back to talk about Exists from 2014. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I already recorded that one, and it was a great conversation, and we're probably going to have him back again, so stay tuned for that.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
So until next week, guys, stay tuned and stay spooky.